Hi, this is David, and this is CPaaS Support. Today I'm going to be answering internet questions about 10DLC. I love it here at Sinch. Fantastic office. I love the city. So excited to be here. So today we have a question from @Gersten Zhang. Has anyone managed A2P 10DLC registration for hundreds of customers' numbers? Any pointers? Absolutely. There are some use cases like where you might have national agents, where you have thousands of agents across the United States for your brand. Absolutely, those are use cases that we can enable via what we call number pools. So usually if you have over 50 numbers, you're going to want to get a number pool. And we've done that for many, many customers whereby the use case is appropriate to have hundreds of numbers. Let me get to the next question from Siphon2K3. For my wife's travel agency, she wants to allow her clients to send text messages for her and her to reply back to her. We aren't doing any kind of advertising campaigns. What do we put in for examples for the campaign messages using back and forth with this platform? Will we also have to write reply with stop every time a customer sends an SMS message asking a question to us? Absolutely falls within the 10DLC realm because it's business text messaging. You absolutely want to go through that registration process and register your travel agency. And you want to identify in those sample messages that you put into that registration, XYZ travel agency, I'm reaching out to you to provide a special for you. If it's really just contacting them to say, hey, I have an alert for you, your trip is coming up, put those kind of messages in there as well. Now with the outbound messages, absolutely you want to have compliance information like reply, stop to cancel. Those are very critical to ensure that those customers can opt out if they want to. For those one-on-one when some customer asks you a question and you respond back, it's really not necessarily in those messages to have the compliance information. It's really on those outbound messages where you're doing reminders or you're doing some type of notifications. When they're just texting you and doing a conversation back and forth, I think the compliance information isn't needed in that case. So the next question is from IMDSYS. Let me get a feel for the question. What's the difference between these two 10DLC and toll-free messaging types? Help! My freelance project, the client wants to send a bunch of ride pickup and drop-off details to their drivers from their web app. For this reason, I need to integrate SMS service into their website. I'm a little confused about the difference between the two services and which one is best for sending SMS. In this case, I think you're asking what's the difference between 10DLC and toll-free. There's a few nuances, but primarily they function as the same thing. 10DLC gives you that local feel where you might want to interact with those drivers locally. Toll-free kind of gives you that national feel where you're really dealing with a business. They support delivery receipts. So you may want to know from sending those messages, did they really reach the handset? They're both voice enabled, they're both MMS enabled, so you can send pictures, you can call the numbers. If you think your users would rather receive a message from an 8XX number or potentially a local number. I need help improving my trust score in 10DLC. Currently, the trust score is limiting me from sending more than 2,000 messages per day to T-Mobile users. How are you guys handling this? We run into this use case all the time where you started out in text messaging, you need to increase those daily limits. T-Mobile has a daily limit on 10DLC. So how do you improve your trust score? So you can go through an appeals process if you're not happy with your trust score and you think you were unfair or the process was unfair to you. You can also go through a special business review that Sinch can do for you with the carrier T-Mobile to say, hey, even though my trust score is 50, I want to be able to do more messaging. Here's proof that I'm doing more messaging. Here's what I expect my projections will be. And we can go through that process with T-Mobile to bump you up to the next tier. So it's a solvable issue. Just reach out to Sinch. We can resolve that for you. Before purchasing a number, I want to learn more about this registration. What would happen if I start sending messages using my new number before completing this registration? Is there any risk of immediate blocking or a delivery issue? How soon, often, or after acquiring a number should I register to avoid problems? Well, registration for 10DLC is really done in 3 steps. You register your brand, you register your campaign, and then you register your number. It's really not appropriate to get a number first and to start messaging. That might lead to issues. It might lead to blocking. Most likely, you're going to get identified as doing business messaging on a long code. And so you may get your brand in trouble. So I would highly recommend that you go through that process. We don't support unregistered traffic. The point of 10DLC is to get your brand registered, get your campaign registered, tie it together with your number, and then you can start messaging. You shouldn't have any problems if you go through that process. How long is A2P 10DLC campaign registration taking right now? A competitor's console says 2 to 3 weeks for approval. How long does it take your campaign to get approved? This is an industry issue right now that we're having to review every single campaign for every single one that comes through our door. They may have different timelines. It may be 1 week, it may be 3 weeks. Who knows exactly what happens at other competitors. But for us, we're right now around 5 to 10 business days with 10DLC, and we're looking to improve that as we bring on new employees as well as bring in automation to do campaign reviews in the future. So we have a question from Virtual Bookkeepers CA. I want to use a specific number, might be a toll-free number or a 10DLC number, to receive text messages on that number. Is that possible? So in this case, we'd call that a vanity number. And absolutely, it's available on shortcode, toll-free, or 10DLC. All you need to do is contact us to see if that number is available. That's the only thing, is that it may not be available. And if it's not, we might be able to get you something close. But absolutely, vanity numbers are supported on toll-free and 10DLC.